Hey, Matt, what's up?
Oh, not much, man. How are you?
No, I'm good, man. I'm literally, I'm walking into my house.
Oh, you get to be home.
Yeah, I get to be home for the next 2 weeks or so. Everything we're playing is near New York, so I just basing out of here.
Oh, that's nice. That's a change.
So my dog just got off the bus and got a chance to run around the house for the first time. They're freaking out.
Well, it's funny though. I was going to bring up the dog. So I saw you tweet some pictures of bringing the dog on the road. That must be different.
Yeah, I mean, listen. It's the only downside is that, like last night we were in Windsor, Canada, and it was freezing cold, wind blowing, and I've got to walk them around because I don't like other people walking them, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm out there before a show in my rockstar gear, walking my dogs in the freezing cold. But there's nothing cooler in the world, man, than finishing a show and then running off the stage and you get on the bus and you open the door and they're just standing there smiling at you, you know? It's pretty great.
Do they sing? My dog sings.
Right, well, it's funny. Ollie, one of them does. Whenever I start doing vocal warm-ups, he literally sounds like he's trying to do them with me.
That's amazing. You should YouTube that stuff. I feel like there's money in that somehow.
I'm not sure because also when I'm doing it, I'm not sure if he's singing because he likes it or because he wants me to shut up in it because it could go either way. It kind of looks like it's fucking killing him, right? So I don't want to show up in some ASPCA commercial all of a sudden yeah. Don't do this to your dog.
Rob Thomas's voice tortures dogs. That's hilarious.
Exactly, yeah. I've been torturing people for years. Why not my
dog? Talking about torturing people live, I mean, what's a set list like? How are you guys? I mean, with that many hits and the new record, obviously you want to play the new tunes. How do you guys choose a set list every night?
Well, we don't. Nobody that I know likes to go see a band and then all they're doing is playing all their new stuff. So I think we found a good balance between all the singles, and then. I mean, basically, it's kind of like we divided up. The singles is about half the set. If you play a corporate show and you play for an hour, that's just all the singles. Then you have this whole other hour because it's about a 2-hour set. Mm-hmm. So the other hour is mixed up between 4 or 5 of the new songs and album scratch in the past that we like, and then every day we're kind of learning some more. We realize that we haven't played the song Rest Stop in a long time, and we haven't played it because, there's only so many slow moments you want in your set. You know what I mean? You don't want it to be all ballads. And then you have certain ones that, I Will, that we want to play every night, so we're not going to replace that. But then, now we realize that, we have, there's a song on the new record called The Way that Kyle sings, and we can do that one night, but then we can do Rest Stop one night or Hang one night in that place and put it there. So now we're kind of, going back, but it's a sign of the times, too, man, because we're relearning our own music. And we were on stage the other day, and we couldn't remember how we used to, what tempo we played something at, or what guitar tone we used. So we're standing on stage, and Paul is pulling up on his phone a YouTube of us playing it somewhere live, so that we can watch it and relearn how to play our own song.
That's crazy. What about having Stacy in the band now? How has that changed the dynamic? I mean, he's an amazing drummer.
He's an amazing drummer, and I think that's the best. He's my favorite drummer to play with since we had Paul playing drums. I mean, he's so dynamic. He's a showman. He hits really hard. He's very consistent. It's really it upped our game. I think that between having Stacy and then also us, getting older and doing this for 17 years and just getting better at it every year that we do it, I don't think that we've ever sounded as good as we sound right now.
And that's
it feels consistent every night,
Yeah, you said something in there that I want to touch on, but I kind of want to hold off on that for a second. I just wanted to talk about just the change in the drummers and Paul moving to guitar and actually coming back to drumming on this record, because I know he didn't drum on the Exile record. So how did that?
He did like the drumming on the record, and he actually hopped up on the kid on a few songs during the live show as well.
Okay, so he still has the desire to play.
He's hop on guitar.
Right. I always found it interesting that he smokes while playing drums. I've tried that, and I always end up getting burned. I cannot pull that off.
But he quit smoking a long time ago now, actually.
Oh, that's good.
It's funny because we reference that too. That there's that one concert video where he's in the middle of the breakdown at 3 a.m. and while he's sitting there counting it off on his hand, there's a tech lighting his cigarette while he's playing.
That's great. That's so rock and roll. It's amazing. But also bad for your health. But so how is your how has your approach to songwriting changed? I mean, you've obviously written with a lot of people over the years. The band is writing together a lot more. How have you evolved as a songwriter when it comes to, I guess, the confidence of putting your ideas down on paper?
You know, I mean, I don't know that the process changes much. You know what I mean? If you get 50%, or 40% inspiration, and then once you kind of get that inspiration and you suck everything you can out of the muse, then you go to craft and you have to. And so hopefully the craft of it kind of changes and evolves, but not the way that you do it. Like the only thing that changed is like when I did my first solo record, and definitely more on the second solo record, I had built a studio in my home. So like having the ability to go downstairs and record really proper demos all by myself. You know what I mean? Not having to have an engineer there, so that I have that same kind of solitude that I have when I'm writing, but all the the ability to sit down and put down some drums and bass and keyboards and kind of build a real track, so that when I go to Matt, when I went to Matt, I could give him an idea of like, this is what I wanted to sound like. And that helped a lot.
Do songs typically start in a piano or a guitar for you? Like, where do you when you think you have an idea, where do you sit down?
They usually start. They start in my head, and I have to kind of flush out a little bit of it in my head. And then it really depends. I'm a much better piano player than I am a guitar player. So if it's a 3-chord kind of moment, I can sit on the guitar and kind of flush it out. But then eventually, if it gets too complicated, I have to do it on the piano, just because I have limitations.
Yeah, that's a good reasoning. And what about when you bring it to the band? Like, how did that change? Because
But by the way, now a lot changes, because I might have an idea and I might just like start with a drum beat, and then I like the way that beat sounds, and I'll start like building a chord progression over that beat, and then I'll start writing a melody to the track that I'm kind of building. So that's kind of a new way.
And you wouldn't have done that before?
No, because I didn't have the technology, or I had to go through the whole process of kind of learning how to run Pro Tools and how to record.
Well, talking about technology, just on the other aspect of it, the whole, like when you put out that first record, there was still that mystique to rock and roll. You couldn't connect with the band if you wanted to, but now, I mean, you're on Twitter all the time. So how have you, I don't know, I don't really know where my question's going, but like, are you happy with the way things have gone, that now you don't need to be connected, but you choose to be so connected with the fan base, as opposed to, Zeppelin would not have been able to be Zeppelin had they been connected?
I mean, it's just ubiquitous now. It's kind of like it's not an issue anymore of happy or not happy, or acceptance or not acceptance. Like, this is kind of what it is. And if you're 17 years old now, you don't know any other way other than having this kind of access to the music and this kind of access to these artists. And you feel like if you don't have it, then that person's not really playing along with the game. You know what I mean? And that said, I mean, there's something really, really great. Like if I were 17 years old, or if I was 20 years old now, and somebody came to me and said, like I'm a big Paul Simon fan, and Paul Simon, I tweeted, "Wow, I love this," and Paul Simon went, "Thanks." I would freak my shit. You know what I mean? So I get it. And I think that everybody kind of focuses on the state of the music business, but the state of music is actually kind of great. The relationship that you can have with music, the accessibility of how you can get the music that you love, the way that you can find all these new bands that maybe wouldn't have existed if you were just kind of relying on the old formats of maybe just VH1 and kind of format radio. Now it's this whole free world out there where all these bands can have really great success. Like, I don't know that a Mumford & Sons 7 years ago would have sold 600,000 copies on their first week. But I think thanks to the internet, they can build a real fan base and get this rabid group of people that can find them where, when they're looking.
Where do you find new music? Where do you listen to stuff?
Everywhere. Like I go on Palladium and check out new bands, or check out like Jules Holland. Because Jules Holland always has like 2 or 3 bands that I really love, and 2 or 3 that I've never heard of that I walk away being a fan of. Mm-hmm. But sometimes I'll spend the afternoon on iTunes, going to this, and well, if you like this, then you'll like this, and just kind of, well, let me hear that, well, let me check that out. So I mean, like the idea of turning on music doesn't really change too much.
I just find it interesting because everyone nowadays finds music in different ways. Everyone has their own website or has their own niche place to find tunes, and I just think I find that so interesting.
Yeah, a lot of times there's a website called We Are Hunted. It has kind of new bands in every genre, and I'll spend a lot of time on there just kind of checking out new stuff to see if there's something I really want to get into.
And then would you maybe find something that you dig and then maybe want to write with these people? Like, is that something that's ever crossed your mind? Like, hey, I should write a tune with these kids.
I mean, not yet, but it's funny because I do get a lot of I'll hear a song for the first time, and I'll go online and I'll say, wow, I really like this song, and this is my song of the day or something, and then like somebody from that band will tweet me back and be like, oh my God, that's so nice, thank you so much, what are you guys up to? And and then you end up with this kind of like Twitter friendship with these bands that you've never really met, but you have a shared experience, so it's kind of easy for you to kind of fall into like kind of feeling that like you guys have a lot in common.
And we don't have too much time here, and I do want to talk about acting a little bit because I watched the series on Funny or Die this morning. It's hilarious. So whose idea was that?
That was a lot of fun.
Where did that come from?
I actually was always a big Funny or Die fan. I was in LA, and me and my manager just called him up and said, hey, we want to come talk to you about doing something. And we just sat in the office and kind of flushed that out with one of the writers that was there. Where there's like a bunch of ideas, and now we kind of stuck out. I wasn't sure at first if the band was going to be into it, but I mean, I think because of like all the parts about that made that funny were part of the reasons why it was funny that they did it, and they saw that too.
Is it like an in-joke within the band, or was that just something one of the writers came up with?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it goes back and forth. Like, everything in the band is, like, oh, yeah, we never played it. Oh, Rob, that must have been your solo record. Did you get a solo record? I didn't realize you did a solo record. Oh, okay. Or that, like, if somebody comes up, like, there's inevitably, at least once every couple of weeks, somebody in a meet and greet will come to, like, Kyle and tell him how much they love Smooth. And Kyle's like, great. I didn't have anything to do with that, but I'll let Rob know. Thank you. I liked it too. Great.
Do you play that live? Does that come out in the set list?
No, that comes out when I do solo tours.
Okay. Before I let you go, we do something called 5 questions. 5 quick questions, 1-word answers.
All right.
Road or studio?
Road.
Lennon or McCartney?
Lennon.
When you hear a song, what usually hits you first? Lyrics, melody, or rhythm?
Melody.
Song you've written you're most proud of?
You Won't Be Mine.
And in 1 word, Matchbox 20.
Delightful.
Delightful? Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
That's great.
Fucking delightful.
That's good. Thank you so much, man.